How you doing, man?
Good, man. It's been a crazy last 24 hours
I can imagine it's
with,
launch day.
yeah, I mean, yeah, man, with the album coming out, and then we're starting to practice for this upcoming tour we have in the States, which has been crazy. Just now, actually, that we have all these songs ready, like actually practicing them and getting them ready for the live side of things has been a hell of an experience. So yeah, last couple days, this whole week, I feel like has just been a kind of a mind fuck just in general.
When does tour start for you guys?
So we're starting in 3 weeks. So I want to say 3 weeks from today, actually. So
Cool.
it's coming up quick. Definitely coming up quick.
It's one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, 3 weeks. We already know the songs, we wrote them. We've got plenty of time. And it's just like, fuck, it's a week till tour.
Oh yeah, then it comes up and you're like, oh crap, I mean, I'm so bad at packing. I feel like I've always been a procrastinator. So I'm the guy who just like last second will be like, oh, let me put everything in my suitcase. Also, fun fact, my iPad did just turn on. I don't know if it matters to you if I
You look
switch over to the
fine.
iPad.
You can switch if you
Okay.
want. You can stay. We're chill.
Yeah,
fine.
it's all good.
Cool. Yeah, if you guys think this looks good, I'm totally down to roll with this.
As long as you don't get annoyed having to hold it and move it around.
Oh no, you're fine. No, I honestly maybe I can actually set it up real quick. Maybe that'll be a little easier. Here.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll just hold it. I feel like it's just easier.
This is the content people want. The
I
struggles
feel
of a musician.
The struggles of anyone in this day and age, I feel like every call I do, unless it's on a computer, I'm there being like, I need a tripod. I need someone to hold this phone. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then my headphones die. It's a constant battle.
Yeah, I just need a like little tripod to bring around with me at all times, and
Yeah.
that'll make things so much easier.
I bought this. This is the content people want. I bought this thing. I bought it off like an ad on Facebook, and it looks like a little credit card, like a black little. I showed you.
Oh
it.
yeah, you showed me that.
And it folds up. It's like in little bits. You fold it, and then it becomes a mini tripod. I don't know how to describe this. I'll try and find a photo to share with people. But yeah, you like twist it around, and then the phone just sits like in the tripod on a table, and it fits in your wallet. Game changer.
Sign me up because I've needed it this week. I feel like I've been doing lots
If
of
I find it, I'll send
this
it to
type
you.
of stuff.
The old MySpace, yeah.
Yeah.
Love
high
it,
angle.
love it.
It sounds like something that you'd get off wish.com, but like this time it actually worked.
Yeah, it worked really well. So
I haven't used wish.com. I don't know if I've ever used wish.com actually.
don't. You're
Don't,
not
yeah.
missing out on
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
there. It's, unless you want to get
probably
real
a
poor
smart move.
knockoffs. Yeah. Hey, so
yeah.
I sadly decided that COVID was a great idea to get when you guys were out in Australia recently. So I didn't get the chance to see you guys, but Johnny got to go
I did.
along. The dickhead.
Hey, my man.
Dude, it was fucking sick, man. It was the first time I'd seen you guys. And
Awesome.
yeah, I was just number one, I was blown away. Like, I guess I just didn't realize the reception that you guys would get. Because when you went to that show, it was kind of weird because like obviously two big bands, like you guys and Motionless, and there was like it was this
Definitely.
weird sort of full half like goth industrial new metalcore crowd, and then your crowd that's a little bit less like that.
Sure.
But
I think
everyone
the
was
more
just
diverse
vibing, man.
crowd.
Everyone was into it. Like it was a sick atmosphere. You guys played fucking great.
Thank you, man. Yeah, those shows were incredible. I feel like for us too, because Australia has always just been a hot spot for us, even from day one when we put out the EP way back in the day. And I remember we would run little Facebook ads and stuff, and would try to target Australia. And we never would have thought when we went over there the first time, we actually played a completely sold out tour to like, I think it was around 1,000 people in each city. And that would have been in 2016. So I feel like the love there is just consistently gone up, even when we played Download a couple of years ago before the pandemic. And then obviously this recent tour, which I felt so bad because we had to reschedule a couple times, obviously
Yeah.
with the pandemic happening, which kind of sucked. But the shows there were just incredible. And that was the first tour we've done back since COVID happened. So just to see
Oh wow.
how many, yeah, because we had played like maybe 2 or 3 festivals in the States before that, but not like an actual tour. So it felt so good to finally get in a routine and be like, all right, instead of playing one show and then having to take a couple months off, actually getting in a routine where you get to wake up, play a show, wake up, play a show, wake up, play a show
Yeah.
was so great. And I just feel like the response from everybody in the crowd. One thing that kind of blew my mind, because obviously America locked down, pretty bad, but I didn't realize how bad the lockdowns were for you guys. And the fact that so many people, every time I would just be like, hands up if this is the first show you've been to since all the craziness happened. And I swear 50% of the crowd every show would raise their hand, in some cases more, like 70 or 80%. So it was just so cool, not only for us getting to get back out and just see the reception, but just seeing other people just go finally get out to a rock and a metal show and be able to like live that experience again.
Yeah, what a way of going back to shows too, like just throwing yourself in the deep end. I'm going to go to the other side of the world as far away as we can and then test the waters. A bold way.
Well, hey, if we were gonna go anywhere, Australia is a spot, because we not only do we love just everybody there, I feel like even like I've watched your guys' channel a little bit and just seeing your reactions are always just such a vibe. And I feel like you guys just have such good energy, where every time we've come to Australia, the energy is great. The people are great. The atmosphere is great. Obviously the weather, although we didn't know this fun fact, I just figured like Australia is nice all the time. So all of us are like thinking when we were
not anymore.
it was going to be like, well, we were all thinking it was going to be like summertime. So we're all like, because we're from Michigan, where we get a ton of snow.
Yeah,
and, like,
for sure.
all sorts of different type of weather in the States. So it was funny to seeing all of us like come in acting like it was going to be like 100 degrees the entire time. Definitely a little more rain than we expected, but outside of that, just such a fun experience, and a place that I just constantly feel like every time we go to Australia is a great time. And I'm so glad it was kind of the first place I got to hear, and that's a cool thing too. Like Australia was the first place we really played Body Bag and Bad Things at. So it was just such a cool experience, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. Is it like, it must be weird because like bands always say, and like this is not to blow smoke up Australia's ass, but bands always say that Australia is one of their favorite places to tour. Like you hear it a lot, and it you know, you would think it would be a cop out or something and they're just saying it, but when you talk to artists, like so many genuinely love coming here. But it must be hard because the logistics of getting here and making it a viable tour, because like obviously like even when you get to your level, it's like, yeah, we could go into Australia whenever we want, but still it's got to be viable because it's so far, man.
Well, especially with the craziest thing is after the pandemic happened, everything just went like skyrocketed in price. Not only did flights skyrocket, but trying to obtain crew all of a sudden, a lot of people quit the industry. So yeah, there's a premium on paying people that. Even, you know, little things, just like the logistics for renting, gear and stuff in Australia, all of a sudden turned into such a thing where, like you said, it definitely is quite a logistical nightmare to get over there. But I do think once you're over there, it just makes everything so worth it. Because I do look back, the one thing that is probably the worst thing for a band from the States to go to Australia is the flight over and trying to recover from the craziness of it. And Eric and I, our other vocalists, actually, we kind of got the worst seats out of everybody on this most recent flight, because we go from Detroit to LA, which is like a 5-hour flight. So that flight, you know, it sucks, but it's pretty easy to get through. But the worst part is then you got to wait like 2 or 3 hours in LA, get on the plane. So we had to rush through because there was a bomb threat actually at LAX when we were there getting ready to. Jeez. Yeah, so we had to rush. We barely made it on the plane to get to Australia in the first place. So we get on, Eric and I are like walking. We're like, man, our seats are pretty far back on this plane. All of a sudden, we end up realizing we were right up against the bathroom. So our seats didn't recline. We had like no seat recline. So it was pretty much a 15-hour flight all the way over to Sydney, where we barely slept. And then our crazy asses decided, hey, let's start the tour in Perth. So not only did we fly from Detroit to LA, then LA to Sydney, we also then, after doing that 15-hour flight, went from Sydney to Perth. So by the time we got to our hotel in Perth, I turned into a pile of mush and just fell asleep for I feel like 24 hours. But the nice thing is, like, we definitely have learned our lessons from touring there in the past and realized, all right, give ourselves a couple of days before the first show of the tour. So it's one of those things that obviously once you get through all the logistical things, it makes things so much easier. And I do actually like the fact that, you know, when you go to a place like Europe, you're on a tour bus constantly, where the first time, and a lot of people I feel like don't realize this, but when you're in Australia, you're pretty much flying from city to city. So for me, it's kind of nice. I like, you play the show, go to sleep at the hotel, have a lobby call in the morning, wake up. And, you know, the nice thing for us is we tried to plan it out where we pretty much would have a show, off day, show, off day, show, off day.
Yeah,
so
cool.
let us recover a little bit from the flight. But yeah, man, it's certainly a place we're so excited to get back there. We're actually, I just got off the phone with our booking agent before we hopped on this. So I'm not going to spoil anything, but we're definitely already planning.
Look at your little face light up.
But I was actually thinking that because with how far back this, like the previous tour got pushed, and with the new album coming out, it's like now you've got to do the album tour cycle. Like, do you come back soon, or do you sort of give it space or whatever? Because you want to jump on that sort of like the new release, the album, but you also don't want to just cram people.
Well, that's the predicament we got put in, where it's like, we were touring on the Trauma tour. So it was one of those things where even though it was so far in the past, Australia had never gotten to hear a lot of those songs. So now we're kind of in that pocket where we got to play Trauma. We got to give a little tease of the stuff on True Power. So it's that question of it's kind of a debate in the band right now, whether we should come back and do a big headliner, or if we should come back, do the big festival circuit, and then come back again and do the big tour. And so I'm pretty much just down for however we can come back as many times as possible and just continue to build the market. Because some of us laugh, but like, I feel like if you were to ask any of the band, like if you ever had to move to a different country, where would it be? All of us would say Australia. So who knows, maybe 5 or 10 years down the line, we'll just have to make Australia our homeland. We'll start on some Australian accent.
Speaking of touring for the new album, I didn't get to hear the taster, but this album kind of threw me for 6. It's way heavier than anticipated.
It's heavy.
Thank you, man.
It is. I mean, I'm so excited to experience this live because, like after Trauma, I feel like you guys have really set yourselves within not a niche. You've got your own unique sound, utilizing the melodies that both come from your vocals and the way you guys write, but also this insane heaviness that comes from Eric and the riffs you guys have. I feel like you've just progressed that once again in this album. Man, that's gonna be a fun tour.
Thank you, man. I mean, I feel like with this record, we wanted to keep everything that, I Prevail has always had in its roots, where we've always been a band that does a lot of different sounds. At our core, we're a rock and metal band, but we do have our hip hop influences here, there, some pop influences and whatnot. But I think with this record, we really just want to go out and prove like, hey, at the end of the day, we are at our core a rock and a metal band that can, bring some of these other genres in and kind of sprinkle them into not only where we can go out and go appeal to that person who loves heavy music, but also, I do want to be able to hit people who maybe they are that 14 or 15-year-old who's slowly dipping their toe into the rock and metal world. Maybe they like someone like MGK, or maybe someone more in like the pop punk territory, and they've never really listened to screaming or never really listened to like tuned down guitars. So I do want to be that band that can kind of progress this genre forward. But I do think it was really important for us on this record to lean into our roots and kind of show people that, hey, this is the heaviest thing we've done to date, but done in a way that was tasteful, where it's not just, hey, every song's heavy to be heavy. We tried to make each and every song. Yeah, we tried to make each and every song kind of have its own feel, where you don't get, I've listened to those track listings before where it can get a little monotonous, where every song kind of is in the same pocket. Where with this record, and that's the cool thing with having Eric and I as both vocalists, it really allows us to try to diversify and do things different from previous records. And really too, the more that we've kind of grown up with each other, because Eric and I and Steve, met each other and formed this band. So we've known each other now for close to around 10 years. So I think just us forming that chemistry along the way too really allowed us to go balls to the wall with this record. And even too, using Tyler Smith, who's our producer, using him again, because we had never really gone back to back with a producer. So the fact that he not only produced Trauma, but was able to come in and be a huge part of this record, just allowed us to really just take some shots. And I feel like the first track on the record, There's Fear and Letting Go, kind of embodies everything this record's about, where it's like, sometimes you got to let go of fear, and you got to get outside your comfort zone if you want to, go for greater success. And I do think for us, we had a lot of people, whether it was the industry side, the label side, the radio side, saying, hey, don't go as heavy, give us more ballads, give us less Eric screaming, his face off. And that for us is something we didn't want to do this record. We wanted to show that, hey, like we can get pretty heavy, and we can be a band that can go headline some of these big rock and metal festivals and get the crowd moving.
Well, that's the thing. And like, I always feel like the sort of the label types, or, the people that would sort of sit there and go, oh, don't go as heavy, write another hit. They're obviously people that have maybe possibly never been to a live show, you know, of a band of this genre, and they just hear what they think sells, but they don't realize what actually sells is that connection between the artist and the fan, and that intensity, like that live experience of just getting in there and just jumping around, banging your head, like hearing those riffs and those breakdowns kick in. That's what actually really sells.
Exactly. I mean, I think a fan just wants you to be real at the end of the day too. I mean, I remember because I mean, we're still not that long into this, where I still remember being a young kid listening to bands like Bring Me the Horizon or Linkin Park or Slipknot and being like, oh man, this album came out and I can tell how much it meant to them and how much work they put into it.
Yeah.
And I think that was a thing for us, this record, where we really wanted to make sure that this was not only a record for the fans and for everybody who listens to us, but at the end of the day, a record that we loved and we would jam on the regular, because no one wants to make music that they wouldn't want to listen to themselves, you know, or that
100%.
they love themselves. So I think when we went into, when we went into this record, and like you were just saying, the live aspect is such a giant thing, where, don't get me wrong, we have songs like Closure and Doomed even, which is a piano ballad on this record. So it's not like every song has a ton of energy. There are some songs that are more lyrical energy, where you're really just supposed to embrace it. But I think for the most part, when we dove into this process coming out of the pandemic, because that's the other crazy thing, we never expected to start writing this record. When we did, we still thought we would tour on the Trauma cycle for another year. I mean, we had to tour, we had tours planned. We had a huge United States like arena run scheduled with Five Finger Death Punch and Papa Roach that got canceled. Yeah, we had a bunch of tours get canceled. So pretty quickly we had to figure out, like, all right, no more touring for a while. Like, we're just going to be in the studio kind of putting this thing together. And I think it really allowed us to just sit back and kind of look at Trauma and how successful that was, and kind of say, how can we, you know, expand upon this and still be the same band, but grow and show an evolution. And I think the time in COVID actually kind of, where probably hurt a lot of bands. I actually do think it helped our band, because not only one were we able to get through some life events, like I got married, Dylan, our other guitarist, got married.
Congratulations.
Steve, yeah, thank you very much. Steve, actually too, our lead guitarist, actually had a baby. So the first like baby born into the Prevail family, I guess you would call it. So a lot of us got to go through some life events too, that I think, you know, we all knew that stuff like that was on the horizon. So, but we always figured, you know, touring is going to make stuff like that really difficult. So it did allow us to be able to get through some of those life events and really look at this new record and kind of, hey, embody we want. I think for us, it was going from showing that trauma that we had experienced on the last record and going through a lot of dark times, whether it were me I had a crazy vocal injury that actually took me off the road and I had to get a surgery. And it was really debilitating, a lot of dark stuff. And I think the cool thing about the pandemic, we just really got to reflect back and tell ourselves, like, what do we want to show that this band is all about coming into this new record? And for us, it was showing people that you can go through that trauma and you can embrace it and kind of come out on the other side and have a true power, where you are able to kind of look at every walk of life and say, no matter how high things get or no matter how low things get, like, I can get through things and everything isn't going to be peachy. Like, even we end the album on a song called Doomed, which is a very reflective album, just kind of where the world's at and how dark things are. But I don't think true power is always having to stick your shoulders out and say, like, oh, it's got to be a song like Choke necessarily. But I do think true power is sometimes just being reflective and realizing, like, hey, things are a certain way. Or even a song like Close, which is a break up in a kind of a relationship song that previous relationship you back. It's more of a song showing true power in the fact that you can come to that realization when it's time to end a relationship. And I think that's what each and every song on this record really tries to show, that, like I said, no matter how high or how low you are, you can still have a true power and be able to kind of battle through and be able to make your way through in any walk of life.
You touched before on like the diversity in your sound, and then about still wanting to like stick true to your roots. I think the song that stood out for me the most is, and I'm not gonna remember the acronym, but the Fuck What You Think You Know. because it's like that to me was like
Yeah,
hearing
yeah,
that being
yeah.
like, that's exactly what this band is, because you're not a band, you're like, and here's the next song that's going to be, because you do have so many little like strings to your bow to pull from. And I feel like you've done that so well with this album, is bring out exactly that. Like, fuck what you think you know we're going to do. The next song, we're going to do this. And when we have so many like options available to us, I think not only have you been able to showcase that, but do it in a way that is genuinely by Prevail. It's not, we're just going to do this because we have to do it. It's because this is what is authentically us. I think that's such probably like, for me, the song that stands out the most is like a testament to
Dude,
what you guys can do as a
means a
band.
ton, because honestly, if I had to give you like, it always changes. I feel like your songs are always your babies, and like each one kind of, this one's my favorite this week, or this one's my favorite this week. But fuck what you think, for me has just been a track that like has kind of embodied, a lot of what we wanted to say with this record. There were a lot of doubters and a lot of people who kind of had preconceived notions of what we were or how we had formed. And that was one that not only did we want to show musically how diverse we could get, and hey, we can throw, some hip hop into a song that has Eric doing a straight up, like, I mean, that chorus is Eric just going ham the entire time. And then the guitar is just it's one of my favorite breakdowns on the record. It's very like Doom inspired in the breakdown, where we can get so outside the box with a song like that. Because if you would have told me 5 years ago that we could create a song like that, I would tell you no way. Like, one, I think we would not have had the ability even to think that outside the box with it. But two, I don't know if we would have had the faith in ourselves to do something that different, where this time around there was something that there was a cohesiveness amongst the band that really, not that we haven't had that before, but again, we were so new to this. A lot of people don't realize, like, we spent a year and a half forming I Prevail even before it happened. Just me, Steve, and Eric, where we didn't have a manager. We didn't have a giant label before, behind us. We pretty much were our label and our management for the longest time. And even to this day, even though, we are on Fearless Records now, and Dom Mackey is our manager and one of my best friends and such a great guy. But as a band, we have always wanted to have our toes dipped in every single thing we do, whether it's the music videos, whether it's the artwork, obviously the songwriting, being involved in every last aspect. And that's why I do think you see a cohesiveness on this record that really does just go to show that we're not afraid to get weird with it. And thank you so much for the compliment on that song, because that's one, I think when we started writing it, was one that we were like, we have no idea what people's reaction will be to this, but we just have fun with it. And we're so excited to play it live. So the fact that that's a standout track for you, I think just goes to further show that taking those risks and going outside the box with things really
paying off,
can help a band kind of, trajectory go even further and further. So appreciate that.
But even like stylistically and like tonally, especially on the album, there's so many things that I just didn't expect to hear from you guys. Like, those really sludgy minor chord progressions and things like that. And the level of like sort of production nuances you've put in to make the heavy bits just really fucking crushingly heavy and have like a really dark undertone to them as well, which was, it just wasn't what I expected from you guys, like off the back of something as successful as Trauma. So testament to you guys. It's
fuck what you think you know, Johnny. We've been through this.
Thanks, man. I mean, the funny thing, looking back even on a record like Trauma, because for me, if I had to give you some of my like standouts and my favorites, they were, some of them were on the heavy side, like a song like Bow Down, Gasoline, Dead Weight. So I think seeing those songs not only have the success they did with streaming and the music videos and whatnot, but seeing the success that they had just on the live side really did allow us to say, like, let's go take some more stabs. Like, let's not be afraid to get heavy when it's necessarily not conventional. Even a song like Closure, that is one of the softer songs on the record, we straight up put a breakdown on it just because we thought it, kind of fit the emotion of the track. So that's something for me. Like, if you would have told me going into the record, you're going to put a vocoder with me singing in the verse and then all of a sudden put, a crazy breakdown at the end, or even getting outside the box. And Eric sings a couple times on this record, which was something super different for us, because that was a big, I think for Eric and I going into this album, because obviously as the two frontmen, and not only we're best friends in real life, but I feel like we're just best friends on stage and love to constantly interact with each other and do lines where I do one thing back and he does it back to me, and then we can get the crowd to interact. So for us going into this album, it was so important that him and I were both on each song. That is something we had never been able to accomplish on a previous Prevail record, especially on the softer stuff. So him and I kind of talked, and I'm like, yo, like, don't be afraid. Like, I know you have a singing voice in there somewhere too, as great as your harsh vocals are. So, you know, he hopped up, and I know he was a little nervous to start off, but it's been so cool seeing the reaction to him singing. So it's one of those things that I think, again, it's just kind of building on that fear and letting go mantra, where sometimes you just gotta take risks that maybe you're scared of, because I do think a lot of the times they pay off. So not only just, you know, in the music, but even I just feel like life in general, it's something you just gotta sometimes not be afraid to go take those risks. And I think that's something that you really see on this record, that we constantly just tried to go left when people would think we might go right.
Yeah, well, the utilization of both your vocals on this was like, not that it hasn't been great in the past, but I feel like it was the most cohesive it's ever been. But also hearing you guys all do, you know, like different things. You're both pushing yourselves to go and do, you know, like something just slightly different that you've never done before. And it adds so many dynamics throughout the album. And it just, that sort of shit to me is just so much more exciting and enjoyable.
100%. I mean, I think for me too, like, I always look back, and I know it's cliche. I know most band guys will always tell you this, but Linkin Park is my favorite band. And I think a lot of people, you know, who have gotten into music and become musicians, Linkin Park is a huge influence on. And I always ask myself, like, why? Like, why did that band have such a huge impact on me? And it was the fact that they had a song for every emotion I felt. When I was angry, I would have songs from them I could put on. When I was chill, I could have songs put on. When I was super sad and down, I mean, even recently, I mean, before Chester unfortunately passed away, like that last record they put out, I know a lot of people thought it was a little too soft, but lyrically there were some songs. Like, they have a song called Heavy that just, it hit me to my core, just lyrically, with how deep that song was. And I think, you know, something with our band that we've consistently wanted to do, and the nice thing is having Eric and I to do two different vocal styles, it does allow us to kind of push ourselves to have all these different sounds and try to be versatile. But I really do look back at them, and that's not to say like I want to be the next Linkin Park, because obviously at the end of the day I just want to be the next Prevail. But if we could have even, you know, one full impact had on the world, or maybe Hesitant to, or other genres, you know, I mean, we all know a lot of the hip hop world and pop world, especially with this new TikTok day and age, there is a lot of bubblegum stuff out there. People kind of afraid to talk on real things. So if we can be that band that, like I said, I'm not trying to shit on someone like MGK. It's not, MGK isn't quite my style per se, but like if we can be a band that maybe, you know, again, some 16-year-old who never listened to guitar and music before heard MGK and was like, okay, I kind of like this. If we can be a band that all of a sudden he hears Choke and goes, well, you know, 2 years, 3 years later in his life, his music taste has kind of developed, and he hears a song like Choke, or even we get him in with a song like Closure, and then he goes to a song like Choke. That would be so cool for me to look back and be that band that kind of can help bring this genre. Yeah, like I want to help bring this genre back to like where it used to be. Not to say rock and metal is not big right now, but
no,
it is something I do look at. Yeah, I mean, it's something I look at now too, where I do see, you know, you look at MGK, you look at Willow Smith, even like I saw Demi Lovato released a rock album today.
It's
where
sick too.
All these other artists, you know, I'm excited to check it out. I mean, all these other artists from these different pockets of, you know, music are starting to, everybody wants to hold a guitar all of a sudden. Everybody wants to have mosh pits at their crowd. And that's something where I go, it gets me really excited to think about what the future holds. And I hope that the same way that we're kind of embracing, like, yeah, we'll throw little pop elements or hip hop elements into our music. I hope that these other artists coming in now start to embrace bands like ours. And maybe a Demi Lovato says, hey, like I want to tour with Prevail one day down the line. Or somebody, I mean, even from us, we did a feature with Joyner Lucas, which was a really cool collab. Just seeing how many hip hop fans all of a sudden became fans from us. Or we did a feature with Millennium, who's big in the electronic music space. And all of a sudden, a ton of electronic music fans started becoming fans of us. So I think at the end of the day, if I can just, and my band in general can just put a stamp on this genre, where all of a sudden we look back in 20 years and there are kids forming band. Like I look at me, my 18-year-old self looking at a band like Linkin Park. If there's an 18-year-old down the line that can look at my band and say like, yeah, they really inspired me to want to go make music. That would be the best compliment I could get from someone, is that our music just had kind of a grip on the rock community, and really just helped push this genre forward, to the fact that, you know, I've told the story a couple times now, you guys have laughed, but in America we got nominated for the Grammys, which obviously was like a really big thing, and it was super cool. And I'm honored that we got nominated for it, but it was a big wake up call when we went to it, and we had our parents, and I have uncles and friends texting me like, I can't wait to see you on TV and blah, blah, blah. And I had to text them back like, yeah, so they actually announced the rock and metal categories on the 2 p.m. pre-show that you can go to like Grammys.com for. If you actually want to watch the real show, they don't put those on actual TV. So it'd be so cool down the line to be one of those bands alongside other acts like Bring Me the Horizon that can just help push this genre forward to a stance that can get, you know, rock and metal looked at as a mainstream thing again.
100%.
100%. It's so good to see, like, and hear how passionate you are about actually, you know, I think like some people might not sort of consider when a band gets big, they're just like, oh yeah, they're just a big band, and not sort of consider the fact that you really do want to be a part of
holding the torch,
changing the scene and bringing it forward and progressing it for everyone, because it's going to give that next generation exactly what you and we got when we were coming up.
Definitely. Well, you guys know, I mean, I watched a bunch of your guys' videos. There's so many good, talented rock and metal acts out there that do not get enough recognition. And I think part of that is due to the fact that, you know, this genre is, you know, again, a lot of young kids are just not listening to this type of stuff right now. But I think a lot of it too is the fact that, you know, people just need to open their ears up more, and kind of, I think that's why you guys, like, again, I appreciate your channel so much, just because you're out there pushing forward this type of music, where I do think we are about to see a huge upswing. You know, we went through the phase where things like Warped Tour all of a sudden just disappeared. I mean, that was kind of weird for everybody over in the States, especially, to go like, I mean, even Rock on the Range, which was the biggest rock festival in America, it ended out of nowhere. And now they kind of changed it to a thing where it's called Incarceration, and it's really cool, but it's not as big anymore, where, you know, I do just look and be like, it's just going to take more people being vocal and more people putting on other bands. Like for us, even, we love kind of looking around and seeing other bands we can tour with. Like we toured with some amazing acts that even a band like Wage War, who we're label mates with, I hope to see them continue to just blow up, because they're nowhere near as big as they should be with how good their music is. And I can say that about a ton of acts in this genre right now. And that's where the cool thing is, the more that I can bring people in with my band, it's just like, we want to be able to push that forward and be able to take those fans and say, hey, you know, check out some of the openers are on our tour, or, hey, look at our Spotify related artists. And, you know, maybe you could go check out Demi Lovato and MGK and other people like that, but maybe give a chance to a band like MGK, or a band like, I know Eric likes Spite, who just released a new record.
Oh, that album's sick too.
Yeah, I'm excited to check it out. He's already been talking it up a ton. So it's stuff like that I think, you know, I just want to be one of those bands that can just help everybody. And I think that's one thing too, is we've seen kind of, as we've come into this genre, there's been so many awesome bands that we've toured with that have pushed us and supported us, like Prevail, who actually is our direct support on this upcoming fall tour. Were the nicest guys and pushed us so hard when we opened for them all the way back in 2016. So I think we just want to be that same band, that the same way those guys helped us and put us on, we want to be the same band for other acts that are younger and kind of pushing their way up the rock and metal landscape.
This tour you've also got Stand Atlantic, who are our friends supporting from Oz, and man, they're a good time. I'm stoked for them, because that's also, I said this to Jono, who's the drummer, the other day. I was like, it's sick that there's going to be diversity on this tour. Like, they do a lot more of that sort of like pop punky side of things, but it's going to expose audiences to different areas of rock and showing how much scope there is to check it out there. So I think that's going to be such an exciting tour for you guys.
Hell yeah, man. No, we're excited to meet them. We were big when we went into making this tour on diversity and just trying to have where each has their own little pocket. So I feel like Prevail, Fit for a King, who we're super excited to tour with. I know Eric knows a couple of the guys in that band, and they're super cool dudes. And then obviously with Stand Atlantic and yours truly, who I think is also
as well,
if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be really cool to Yeah, we're just excited, man. I think it'll be cool to not only one get to, show this because these shows are crazy. We've already actually saw, I think it's at 125,000 tickets sold for the whole tour.
That's so rad.
So it's so many people already. Yeah, I mean it's mind bending to me. Even I just got told because I got off the phone with our booking agent, and he just told me the first show is completely sold out in 500 sold out. So I mean, it's just going to be not only great for our band, but I feel like for all these bands just to continue to press their music. And it's cool for us too to get to tour with acts that we like, because Stand Atlantic was one that we had heard their most recent record and we're like, whoa, this is something that is really special, and this is a band that can kind of blow up. So the fact that I feel like it's cool too to get to the same way when we come over to Australia and get to meet a bunch of people who we've never got to talk to before. I feel like it's cool for us to be able to bring acts from other places of the world where now all of a sudden, hopefully next time Stand Atlantic comes back, they can be able to do their own big headliner run in America and be able to pick up fans from this tour. So yeah, we're just super excited with the diversity of it. And not only that, but just super excited the fact that every single show is just sold so crazy is going to be one where I feel like it's going to be hard to pick a favorite after we finish this whole thing. And also a cool thing, like it's sold so well that who knows, hopefully I shouldn't say hopefully because it's still kind of in the works, so fingers crossed, but maybe we'll have to bring some of the bands that were on this tour to Australia for True Power tour there as well.
I would enjoy that. I would enjoy that.
We're down. We're keen. All right.
I'm
now
not
we know
saying. I'm just saying.
We don't know.
All right. Now you're a busy man. We do have to let you get going shortly. But what we like to do is ask. See what fans really want to know is they want to know the dumb shit. So we're going to ask you a few would you rathers. All right. So first one.
I love that. I'm all out the dumb shit, son.
All right,
that's Johnny's whole life.
All right. The first one. You have to listen to one of these songs once a day, every day for the rest of your life. Choose between Creed with Arms Wide Open or Nickelback Photograph.
Okay. Creed with Arms Wide Open. Fun fact, we actually I'd probably be okay with that because we sing that song on tour all the time. I don't know why. I feel like
I think everyone does.
It's a banger.
One dude starts yeah, there are just certain parts that come in that you hear it and everybody in the room just starts singing. So I give me some Creed. I'll definitely I'll roll with that for sure.
All right. The next one. Marvel or Star Wars, and what character would you play?
So I got to be honest, I'm not a huge Star Wars guy. And then when it comes to Marvel, so I fell off of superhero stuff for some reason. But if I can kind of sidetrack this question, there's a show called The Boys that came out.
Oh, we love The Boys.
Like my favorite show ever.
So good.
Yeah. So am I allowed to pick? Can I pick someone from that
Hell
show?
yeah. I want to know who you'd be.
Yeah, this might tell us a lot about you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to pick Homelander because that guy is a little too far out there for me. I'm actually going to go, man, there's so many great people on that show. It's honestly hard. I'll probably go with Butcher once he, I don't want to spoil things too much, but once Butcher takes a little bit of the X, he just becomes kind of a madman. I just like his personality in the show is so great. And I just feel like I am not really that type of person in real life. I'm more just a happy-go-lucky. I'm more of like the, why am I blanking on his name? Why am I blanking on the main character's name?
The main character? What's his name? Dewey.
This is bad.
Yeah. Huey, not Dewey. Huey.
Yeah, Huey. I feel like I'm more of like a Huey in real life, if I'm being honest.
Okay, go with that.
I feel like I speak like him in real life, so I'll go with Butcher instead, just because he's a little more of a badass version. I feel like
he is
diabolical. Okay, we're gonna go with would you rather be, when it comes to the world of wizards, Gandalf or Dumbledore?
You're gonna hate me again. I'm not that big when it comes to. So this is what? This is Harry Potter, right?
Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, yeah.
It clearly us to show how closeted nerd we are.
God, yeah, I feel bad on this question. I'm too much of the sports guy in the band because Eric would 100% all these questions have an answer right away. So I'm just gonna go with Dumbledore, even though I really don't. I'm just kind of
that's the correct answer anyway, so I'll allow it.
All right, if you're a sports guy, then would you rather be?
All right, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Michael Jordan or LeBron James?
Well, I'd rather be LeBron James right now for sure, because that would mean I'd legit be in the NBA. I would be able to dunk. I'm only 5'8", so I don't even know what it's like to touch the net on a rim, let alone actually put the ball through the hoop.
Yeah, 5'8" represent.
Are you short as well?
Yeah, but 5'8".
All right, short kings, man, short kings. But yeah, I go LeBron James. Not only that, but he's also just like he's on every like literally anything you can imagine in America, whether it's a Powerade commercial, whether it's the Space Jam movie. Yeah. Who knows? That guy's doing everything and anything he can. And now he's got kids that are about to be in the NBA. So something with those genes. If I could have got those genes in life, I guess I'll take the vocals.
I hope he's got pipes. I hope he's got a secret
training, and it was not the best. I think he got gifted with the athletic genes.
Yeah, he did.
Before you go to that, I want to derail this to tell you, Michael.
From what I heard, I would say probably not.
I want to derail this with the story about Michael Jordan, because I read this the other day. So when they first brought out like the Jordan sneaker, Nike, they aimed to sell $4 million in 3 years. That was their goal. They wanted to sell $4 million. And every 55 minutes, they sell $3 million worth of Jordans at the moment.
Jesus.
Is that not the most insane thing in the world? Yeah, 4 million over the next 3 years, and now every hour there's like $3 million.
Just imagine.
Yeah, that is insane.
Incomprehensible.
Yeah, I hope he got good royalties on. I mean, he's got to make so much money.
I think he's doing okay.
All right, so what you're saying is we just got to get good at basketball, then form our own shoe brand, and we'll all just become mega rich.
That simple.
It's so easy. All right, now this is the last one we've got for you. It's the divisive one that splits everyone down the middle. You're starting a set completely dry and comfortable. You've got to either put on cold, wet socks or cold, wet underwear to play the set. What do you choose?
Ooh, oh, this sounds awful. Oh man, I'll probably go with the socks. I could not deal with the socks. At least I can. Well, it's actually now this is funny since you guys are from Australia. I feel like I could talk about shoeys now. That's the one thing I forgot to bring up on this interview. So maybe it'll be a cold, wet sock due to the fact that I did a shoey and then I put
your shoe
back in. Although, fun fact, I still have never done a shoey. Eric has done all the shoeys. So next time we come over, maybe I'll just have to join the party.
Don't do it. I'm anti-shoey. Fuck shoeys. I don't care if I'm un-Australian. I'm so against that. It's so gross and so shit, and I hate watching it happen.
When Eric did the one at Sydney, please tell me that was his shoe and not one from the crowd.
Oh no, Eric takes so many from the crowd where I'm just like, we got to get like disinfectant up here. Well, the funniest story I can tell you guys, the first ever show we played in Australia, we had no ideas what shoeys were. So we're playing a show and like everyone's going crazy. The crowd's loving it. We're probably like 6 or 7 songs in, and Eric just gets hit with a random shoe. So he turns around and he's like, what the hell? And he was so mad because he thought someone had just thrown a shoe at him. So in our in-ears, we hear our sound guy come in, and our sound guy was American, but he had our lighting guy, I believe, was Australian. So he got like right in and was like, no, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. They want you to drink beer out of the shoe. So Eric's like, what? They want me to drink beer out of the shoe. So he gets on the mic and it's like, all right, I was really mad initially, but it sounds like you guys, this is a good thing. And then everybody started chanting, shoey, shoey, shoey. So Eric downed it. And then since then, I feel like it's been pretty much every time he's done one, essentially is someone throwing one from the crowd and him drinking out of it. So the man is a straight up animal. I give him add props because not only I've heard that some people will do it where they the actual beer in the shoe and then drink it, where Eric just straight up pours it in and drinks all that person's foot sweat. So
that's horrendous.
More power to him.
True power.
Illness.
Yeah. He got the true power by drinking. Yeah,
that's what the album's about. Yeah. Foot sweat.
I feel like that's going to be the next episode of The Boys. Instead of them injecting stuff, they're just going to drink beer out of shoes, and we'll get some superpower out of it.
If so, I don't want it. Pass.
Well, dude, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us. We're so stoked we finally got to do this. Big fans of the new album. It's absolutely incredible, and we wish you all the success with it.
And it's out now for everyone to finally get amongst. We've had a few weeks with it, so it's exciting that the world's got it now too.
Thank you, guys. Well, you guys are awesome, and you're more than welcome. Any show we do when we come back, I'd love to have you guys out and introduce you to all the other boys. And yeah, hopefully next time we come, like I said, no promises, but the True Power Tour in America, I do think some of the bands we're having on that might have to come to Australia. So thanks again for a great interview, guys. Appreciate it.
Can you, no worries. Can you name the tour the Shoe Power Tour?
The Shoe Power. Oh, I think you've already named it for me. Absolutely.
And on that note, we never spoke to them again.
Thanks so much,
brother.
dude. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
See you, legend.